So this is what I'm making today. It's a 3D printed storage rack for these nice deep sockets that just arrived. The orange clips are part of the original packaging. They were clipped onto a long piece of black plastic with this C-shaped clip profile clipping onto an I shape of a beam. Now, I recently saw someone demonstrate how to 3D print an I-shaped beam like this with minimal support material, but this is the first time I got to try it, so I thought I'd share it today. Let's check out the part in the slicer, and I'll show where I've added extra support material. We roll up through the layers to this red layer. The red layer is the bottom of the I-beam. On top of this, we're going to print the narrow section of the eye and some support layers. Flip the model around and zoom in on the rear corner to show where the most important parts of the support are. There are 5 beads in a row, orange, yellow, white, yellow, orange, which are going to make up the middle part of the eye. There's also a single orange bead down the length of the part, at the very left and at the far end of the part. It's these 0.3mm walls that are added for support. The next layer, this purple layer, prints the full width and length of the part, a lot of which the filament is hanging in mid-air. Because we added the 0.3mm walls at the very near and very far side of the part in this view, the extruder can actually hang filament between them like a bridge, and it will sag in the middle, but it does at least bond at each end. Because it's not being pressed against anything, the strands don't fuse together neatly, certainly not in the middle. Towards the edges, the surface is a bit more structural. Back in the slicer view, we need to start printing the top parts, the wider parts of our I-beams. We print that on top of the stringy purple layer. Now, unlike the stringy layer, which was bridging, if we hadn't got the purple layer there, these parts would just be extruding into thin air, and the bridging trick only works when the filament is supported at each of the ends. Here we are back in the real world, and we're starting to lay down those first perimeters of the top I-beam surface on top of our little sort of raft stringy layer. I don't think it would work if I tried to put something in the middle of those strings where they're sagged and disconnected, but towards the edge where they're partially fused, it's a good enough surface to get the print going. So here's the finished part on the print bed. I need to remove the sacrificial support material that was needed for the bridging. Along each of the long edges is a 0.3mm thick strip that supported the stringing layer. Cutting this strip off exposes the outside of the I-beam profile. Then all of this bridged material, these stringy bits in the middle, needs to be removed as well, and that's a bit fiddly. On the cleaned up part you can now see those I-beams. And the part is printed well enough that we can slide the C-clips onto the I-beams, although my hand's obscuring the camera. So there we go. 3D printed I-beams with minimal support material and bridging. That's worked remarkably well for a first attempt, I think. I do wish I'd spent the extra 10 minutes making those pockets at the end a bit deeper, but I can always print another one. Thank you for watching and stay safe.